Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Prashant Shastri. I'm an Executive Vice President at Capgemini. In a couple of months, it'll be 23 years for me with the firm. It's been a long journey for us. We, Capgemini, are a business and technology transformation company. We do business in about 50 different countries across every possible industry. And it's, in 23 years, we typically hope for a really good experience and an amazing client to work with, and I'm extremely lucky and fortunate to be working with you all for now 8 years already. Thank you to Google for having us over here. Thank you, ACG. Thank you so much. Viral and Madhu, thanks for coming and spending time with us. If we can do a quick round of introductions. Viral, how about you?
Sure. First, thank you. Thank you, Capgemini. Thank you, Google, for inviting us to share our story. Happy to spend 45 minutes next to kind of talk about what we have done in Auto Club Group. A little bit about myself, Viral Patel. I'm a Chief Enterprise Architect, and I have been with Auto Club Group for more than 20 years. My journey started almost in 2003 with Auto Club Group. For many folks who may not know Auto Club Group, we also use the acronym ACG. We are the part of the AAA federations. My responsibility at ACG here is essentially to drive technology strategy and also innovation. And in the next few 40 minutes, we'll dive in that.
Thanks, Viral. Madhu?
Well, thank you for having us here. Really glad to be here, part of this session, share our story. So Viral talked about his role, and I'm kind of the newbie to the team. I'm about 3.5 years old to the company. I do bring about 25 plus years of consulting experience in the transformation space to this organization. And I kind of take up where Viral leaves off, right? So Viral owns the strategy. He kind of owns the big picture to figure out where we want to go and what we want to do. My role at ACG, I'm the Vice President of Infrastructure and Digital, which is a little bit of a complicated role. I have all our data centers and our operations, both on-prem and the cloud. And then over and above that, I also own our transformation journeys from a digital and the cloud standpoint, which is why Viral kind of dreams up this great vision, and I help build it.
And I think we're the only 3 people in the entire conference who are in a suit today. So.
And I have a story behind that, but I think I will refrain.
Oh, well. But thank you. Again, thanks for coming. So Viral, you're the veteran over here. You're the veteran in the group over here. I remember, so I grew up in India, and I remember my grandfather used to talk to me about the Automobile Association and the things that you did and you can do. And only once I started working with you all, I understood the complexity of the organization and the variety of different things they do, the different lines of businesses that you all are part of. So being the veteran, would you mind just explaining to us who ACG is, who AAA is, so we can understand truly who you are?
Yeah, absolutely. So ACG, Auto Club Group, we are part of the AAA Federation. I'm sure everyone here has a AAA membership. If not, I would strongly recommend to go and get one. What we do is essentially when you or your loved one gets stuck on a road, we come get you. We rescue you. That's what we have been doing for last more than 100 years. You have seen the video. And we intended to do that for next 100 plus years. Take care of our members whenever and wherever they need us. That's what who we are. Within an Auto Club Group, we are 13 plus million members organization. That's who we serve. But part of the AAA larger organization is almost 60 plus million members across the Northern America that we serve. Along with the membership, we provide our members a slew of other products and services. You can see on this slide, ACG serves in 14 states and 2 US territories. Along with the membership product, we also have a slew of insurance under property and casualty products like auto insurance, home insurance, boat, motorcycle insurance, umbrella insurance. We also, in part of our territory, offer commercial insurance. And AAA also offers life insurance as well. So there are a number of financial services and products that we provide to our member base. We do also offer travel services. Along with that, we have a number of automotive services like car care, car wash, battery services. So overall, if you essentially look at everything what we do, all the products and services that what we offer, everything is centered around our members. Members who we are a membership organization, and everything that what we're going to talk about today, you will essentially kind of see the theme. Everything is centered around our members. How do we serve our members better? And how do we help them quicker and faster?
Thanks for that, Viral. Again, crazy complex, so many lines of business, so many members that you all service. In comes you, Madhu, as you described yourself, the newbie. So you come in. How do you see, what do you see this organization? How do you describe your view or your lens of who AAA and ACG is?
So I think one, AAA as a brand for me was always very familiar, right? And, coming to this country, about 25, 30 years ago, I remember the first thing I did was to actually get a AAA membership because it was the thing to do, right? You had all these benefits, you had all this value that you got from the cards, always close to my heart. Like I learned more about AAA as I entered the organization, like Viral was talking about. We do a lot of things, right? I'm sure a lot of us are in industries and environments where you have multiple lines of business. Our situation's a little different because even though everything we do is centered around the member and delivering value to that member, it's actually whole different segments. Mm-hmm. So you take insurance as one, which is a whole different business in itself. You take membership and roadside assistance, that's a whole different business in itself. Mm-hmm. Travel is a different business. So when you look at this from an IT standpoint and an enterprise IT standpoint, it gets really complex, right? Because one, we have a large number of data centers. Well, let's put it in this context, right? From a roadside standpoint, we basically do about 6 million rescues a year.
Wow.
Right. So now, if you think about it, right, when that's about a rescue every 3 seconds, I guess, if my math is right. So if you think about that network and what it needs for, I'm in trouble, my car broke down, I make a call, I use an app, I go online, whatever it is, from the time you make that call, for us to be able to figure out who you are, right? What are the attributes of your membership? What are your entitlements? Be able to take that, figure out where you are, what car you're in, find the right technician in the right vehicle to serve you, all within very tight time frames. Because here, time's critical, right? Because a lot of rescues that we do actually are saving lives. There are people stuck on highways, there are children locked out in cars. So it's a very complex environment in itself from a data standpoint, and now you take that same thing, extend that out to travel. You extend that out to insurance, right? So what it all boils down to for us is really being able to see the member, our member 360, and being able to tie in all these different pieces of technology that enable us to serve our members. And that's both on-prem, cloud, many different ways. So, I know we talked about this, but for me, coming into the organization, looking at all of this was a very, very eye-opening exercise, right? I've worked in very complex industries in over my career. This one was a little unique.
And, thank you. Thanks for that. And so, so you've been there. You still haven't shown up because you've been there for 3 years. So I meet you 8 years ago in Dearborn, Michigan. I still remember walking into your office. What was going through your minds? Like, why did we pick all of this stuff to do?
Yeah, I remember it was summer 2016,
2016, June 2016.
That was the time. Um, if I step back a little bit, that's the year where we started to kind of look at the future of Auto Club Group. And this is where, as a business, we come up with a strategy. And again, the strategy revolves around member. And that essentially drove us to really kind of take a hard look at what we have from the technology point of view, and essentially how we need to transform that so that we are relevant and we can help our members for next 100+ years. And that is essentially the foundation of our transformation journey. That's how it started. Essentially, how do we serve our members better? How do we get to our members faster? How we can provide our members an experience like the way they are used to nowadays, getting an experience from, for example, Uber like an experience.
Yep.
How do we deliver the best experience that our members deserve? And that essentially kind of led us to do the study of what we have, and where we essentially end up that we need to kind of transform every layer of our technology. So if you think about experience, we need to unify our experience across all the products and services that we provide to our members. If you look at all the products that Madhu talked about, we need to modernize these product systems, containerize it, API enable that. If you look at the data, every product systems that we have, we needed to kind of bring those silo down, bring the data together, stitch them, and make it available in real time. So essentially, when we looked at our whole IT ecosystem, we realized that we need to touch every layers.
Yep.
And this is where our CEO and COTO had an ambitious plan to transform practically every aspect of what we do. And we came up with a 6-track transformation program. And happy to kind of dive more deeper into that, but I'll kind of take a first track that we initiated very quickly, which is around our data. We knew very early in the beginning that we have to bring our data together. And that's the time where we start exploring what are the options out there. We were traditionally like a data warehouse architecture, and we wanted to kind of move to much more data lake type of architecture, where the data is available, stitched together in real time. We have insights so we can act on it. And we looked at pretty much most of the cloud providers there, and GCP very quickly stood out from us, especially the BigQuery, the Spanner, and essentially their Data Studio that they rebranded later on. But those tools has that actually kind of kind of gravitated us towards going to the GCP path. We were able to put together our data lake in just a few months. And that was really kind of the remarkable kind of experience for us. Both our partners came through, as well as the Google GCP came through it. And that's how our journey with Google started. And then we right away transitioned to our master data management strategy. We kind of built out a master data management, again on the Google GCP ecosystem there. And then we started tackling all unstructured data, and we built what we internally call Dark Garage, essentially bringing all our unstructured data together. And that gave us a confidence, that gave us a learning, that gives us an experience to truly kind of embark on our ambitious cloud transformation journey.
And so the crazy part about both these gentlemen over here is that they're extremely humble in what they describe. So over here, they insisted on us putting a small little slide with just 4 circles. If it did go back, oh here, yes, with just 4 circles. But in reality, there were about 300+ programs that came under this umbrella. And so it was 300+ programs that I remember we all sat together in a room for about 3 to 4 weeks, moving those chevrons from left to right, up to down, all of that stuff. And we signed up to run a program from the beginning till the end, and we've had many, many, many successes. So again, y'all both are too humble in the way you describe it. So this slide is a...
We're IT folks. I don't know what you'd expect, but...
So you've got 240, 300 odd programs. We're running them. We're kicking them off. Things are running. Your data is making sense to you. Google and GCP, true partner, comes to bear, shows up with hardcore engineers. Things are humming.
Yeah.
But that was the beginning of GCP. Now you've got insurance, you've got travel, you've got your banking transformation, you've got CRM transformation. You come in and you've been told, and hey, I need to do cloud too. Where does that go?
Well, see, and I think that was one of the big challenges, right? So we had all these big transformation programs. So like, the insurance transformation. We have one of our peers who led that whole effort, and he's been focused on driving that forward and getting that done. So there were multiple leaders that were driving these transformation programs. I had one of them too on the CRM side. But what we realized very quickly is, or we kind of had a sense of, is if you really wanted to make these work, data was obviously core. We needed to have that one single MDM system that we all talked about that we were gathering in place. But what also became very obvious is what's going to drag us down or hold us back in these transformations is our core enterprise, right? Because we had our data centers, we had a strong, large on-prem footprint, and it's those systems that would actually define the pace at which we could transform, right, or drive our larger transformations. So that was one, right? And so we said we obviously have to figure out a way to solve that. Working with GCP, the cloud was the right option for us to figure out how we go about that. But as we were looking at it, what we wanted to do and what we did was, we said we're not just going to start moving stuff over, right? Because that's what gets you into trouble in terms of, all right, you've kind of moved a lot of stuff over, but now it's a little too expensive. Or you moved it over and you've probably not made the right decision on whether to transform versus lift and shift. So the way we approached this was to lay out a framework, to say, how are we going to approach this? How are we going to take a look at what we have in terms of our assets and figure out our journey to the cloud? So step one for us was that. A part of that was, how do we define this and how do we actually make sure we are building a business case for every single one of these? Because what we didn't want to do was a blanket, right? Let's move to the cloud, and here's the bill, and let's move it over. Because that kind of hides a lot of the nuance in the detail, and unless you really get to that, at least our experience was, you don't make the right decisions on what to do, whether to actually move it to the cloud, whether to sunset it and look at a transformed solution, net new. So we kind of laid that framework, and we established a governance process to be able to truly identify the cost of each of these steps, the benefits, and how are we going to manage this after? Because, at least for me, one of the big challenges was, and I'm sure there's several IT folks here. If they are, they'll probably be familiar with this, this situation. From a business perspective, especially when you have on-prem data centers, IT is free, right? Because you already got your hardware, everything's already there, and IT is free. When you move to the cloud, IT is not free because you have an ongoing usage bill that needs to keep coming in. So we had two options. Either from an IT standpoint, we could just eat it, and what that would do operationally, at least for my budget, would be as we were transforming, the expectation was that your operational budget goes down, whereas in this case, your operational budget would go up, right? Because unless you're managing it right, because there is no real driver to make sure that every ask on we need to do this is counterbalanced by what it's going to actually cost. So that was one of the big pieces that we put in place, and I'm really glad we put that in place because that really helped bring that governance and discipline where even our business partners were aware. So they knew if they said, hey, this is what we want, and here's what we are doing to support their business objective, there was a bill that came along with it. Now, overall, for the enterprise, for the organization, it was a reduction in cost. That was the business case. To say your net bill goes down. But how it's allocated, it helped make it a very deliberate exercise. And that's kind of how we approached it. And then we kind of went through a journey in terms of, working through these projects.
Cool. And did you use any tools or processes to get you to the point where you realize how do you wave this out? How do you get this work done? How do you put it all together at the end of the day?
That's a great cue.
Yeah.
Right. So we actually worked with our partner, Capgemini, to leverage one of their tools called ClearSight. And essentially, what we were trying to do there is, I kind of talked about a lot of very high-level stuff, right? But how do you get to the specifics? And step one for us was we needed a complete inventory of everything we had in our data centers. And these were dated data centers. They'd been around for a while. And there wasn't really any person or any team member that really knew exactly what we had. So we leveraged the tool, and where that helped us is we got an inventory. And that allowed us to categorize, to say, these we will sunset, these we will transform, these we will move to on-prem because we're not going to move it to the cloud. It's not worth it. Eventually, as part of these transformation journeys that Viral and all other leaders were driving, they would go away. So we don't really need to worry too much about that. So we moved those to another on-prem location. And then we had that last set that we lifted and shifted to the cloud.
And I remember because it was a really good combination of GCP, and us, from technology, from cloud and infrastructure, where and Dan, thanks for that, we were able to look at how to section it and segment it, and at the same time, you were able to take to your CFO and say the commit you're going to make, you're going to burn through that commit very quickly. And so there wasn't this fear about, am I over-committing? Can I spend this amount of money? And then while we're doing this, while all of this is going on, Viral and Madhu have this thing of calling me on a Thursday night, usually, when we think everything is going well, but then they call me up on a Thursday night when you call, and they describe that they have to shut down a data center in 5 months. And we, please, let me go through the pain again.
Yeah, so no matter how well you plan, there is always going to be surprises. That's the one thing that we had our fair share of surprises throughout our journey. And I think what Prashant was referring to is that we got a notice from one of our data center provider that they wanted to essentially kind of, move out from that business. And that has forced us in a very small window to take all of our workload and kind of move it out. Now, let me explain a little bit about the workload. What workload that I was been talking about is essentially the complete insurance stack. If any of you are working in insurance space, it has a policy administration side of the workload, it has a billing side of the workload, it has a claim side of the workload. And we needed to pick up everything, move it out, and do that without impacting any of our insured, any of our members. And that was the challenge that was given to us. And this is where, again, the partnership matters. This is where, within an Auto Club group, some of our leaders, some of our employees came together with our partners. We put together a plan, and in just a short amount of time, and again, thanks with Capgemini, who kind of buy us a few more months to kind of extend what we needed to do in order to move this thing out. And yeah, that was quite a surprise, but thanks for Capgemini as well as the Google, both of them step up, and we kind of moved the whole workload in just a few months without impacting any of our insured.
Yeah, it was one of those projects when you wake up the next morning when everything's gone live and you call up Amit, who basically says, no one's calling me. Everything is fine. No distribution agent is calling up because systems are running. No customers calling up because systems are not available for them to do things. It was a seamless cutover. And this was where GCP came in, they sat with us, they said, come what may, we'll get this done.
Right.
It was.
Yeah, and I think we're oversimplifying that a little, right? Because again, this was a hosted data center that kind of had the stack, and they had their own nuances. They did things their own way. I have a couple of chuckles from the audience, folks who were involved in this journey, let's call it. But they had their own security layer. They had their own way in which they managed access. They had a whole bunch of bespoke legacy code that overlaid the core applications. And again, it was something that we had no visibility into. So as we were working through, doing this migration, there were a lot of these aha moments of, well, it wasn't exactly an aha moment, but I'll call it aha for now. But, where we were like, what are we going to do now? And I think, we worked it out together and we figured it out. But again, it was really Google helping us figure out how do we do these things, how do we kind of transition these capabilities over to the cloud, how do we best leverage native capability to do it. It was, some of the insurance specialists that, we got some help from Capgemini on, and it was the team overall that kind of helped us move it. It was a pretty significant exercise in terms of scale, size, and complexity.
And just to give you the magnitude of that, when I talk about insurance systems that we have to move, it's not a one application and it's not a one environment. I mean, if you're in this business, you probably know you have one production environment, you might have a couple of QA environments, and then you have like 20, 25 development environments, and they all have to move without any kind of hiccup. And that is the kind of give you just essentially the magnitude of the work that needed to do accomplish that. So again, it takes a village to pull things up. And in this case, in reality, all of an ACG employees and partners came together.
Yeah. Thank you. And that was it was a fun, quote unquote, fun project. So we've spoken a lot about what you have done, what you have achieved. Of course, we can't cover it in 45 minutes. The things that you all have done in the last 8 years, you all have completely transformed and transitioned your organization. Member is still in the middle of all of it. You are now moving into this next phase of truly challenging yourselves from how do you leapfrog your organization? How do you get to that next phase? What's the future like? What are you doing in the future?
So I'll cover that. It's okay. But before we jump into this section, right? Just one clarification. I wouldn't say we have transformed. I think we're in the process of transforming because we still have a lot of things that are in flight. Yep. And the way we see it is it's a journey. We never intended for this to be a, like a one-shot thing. It is a process, and we'll go through it. But coming to, I think the next big thing for us and for a lot of folks, I think at this point is AI.
Yep.
The way we look at it is AI has tremendous potential, especially as we look at all our different business segments and sectors. There's a huge amount of potential there.
Yep.
And we are trying to figure out a couple of things. How do we best leverage that opportunity while making sure we are managing the risk? Mm-hmm. So a couple of ways in which we are looking at this is a combination, right? One, we made strategic investments in platforms, SaaS applications, cloud partners, and we are betting on those. So GCP is, our primary cloud partner, one of our primary cloud partners. A big bet is with GCP and a couple of our other SaaS applications, coupled with our partnership with our strategic SIs.
Yep.
Right? Because the way we look at it is that's what helps us bring together the most learning so that we can apply it to our world in the most effective way.
Yep.
And on the flip side, we also want to manage the risk. So the way we are approaching this is actually very carefully. We don't want to stifle any ideas, but once you have an idea and we've kind of proven it out from a POC standpoint, we have a pretty rigorous process that we take each of these initiatives through.
Yep.
So that A, we really understand the liability, can manage the liability. B, we make sure there's a real business case and we're not in the business of bells and whistles, because there's a lot of really fancy stuff out there in the market, and some of those, at least I think, have questionable
Yeah.
ROIs. So we kind of take it through that process as we are working it through now. We won't really get into specifics of what we're doing. We heard a lot today, even in the keynote. That was very exciting. I think everybody's kind of going down this path and trying to figure out how to make AI and Gen AI work for us, and not just work for us to solve current day problems, but help us kind of leapfrog those problems and move us into a leader position.
And it's for the folks over here who understand insurance, the biggest part of your spend is typically non-technology, and it's quite gratifying to see that you all are truly pushing the business side and the operation side of the organization to look at how they can use generative AI and AI, not just Gen AI, the entire gamut of AI, to help you become more relevant. You all are very relevant already, but more relevant and operationally sound. And we've had some really good, a few little bit experimentation that we've done with you. So it's fun to see where it'll go. Hopefully, we'll have many more of those experiments. So Viral, I'm going to flip to a little bit slightly a different side. So you both are running this massive organization from a technology perspective. You've got 6 million plus members. Every 3 odd seconds, you get a call. And there is insurance, and there is banking, and there is life, and there is travel, and there's all of this. You've got 14 data centers that you've now consolidated to a few that you can count in less than a hand. And you're doing all of this, and you still have a lab in your building, and you still have time to innovate. And you still have this true DNA of who AAA and ACG is, which is all about your member. And you've instilled that in our DNA too. When we come into your office, for us, everything is about taking care about the member. Make sure that the member is taken care of. And I know the story that you guys were describing to us about this family that was stuck in the snow, and they were running out. Of course, they'd run out of gas at some point. The local authorities were not able to go and pick them up because they were stuck in a place that the local authorities, like the police and the public safety services, couldn't go. AAA's vehicle showed up over there. ACG's vehicle showed up over there, made sure that this truck was pulled out. The family was kept safe before they would run out of gas, before the heating would end in their truck. And so this is what you'll do day in and day out. And what you're going to talk to us about now just takes it to this other level. And so thank you for everything that you're doing over here. And we'd love to hear more about what it is.
Yeah, I mean, the great example, Prashant, our technicians, they are the heroes. I still remember when pandemic hit us, pretty much the whole world shut down, but our roadside technicians were always there. They had not a single day off. They were still out there helping folks who are stuck on a road. And our industry, every other week, we lose one of these technicians while they're helping our members because of the some kind of unintended accidents. And that is something not acceptable.
Yep.
We know we have a technology in place, and that's why we have a one dedicated team that is solely focusing on technology innovation. We have one of the members from our lab right here in the first row. What they do essentially is kind of take all the technology and figure out how we can help our members, how we can help our technicians, how we can kind of make their job much safer. And that actually led our lab just a few years ago to really kind of work on a concept where can we have a device that when technicians are helping members on the roadside can watch over their back, can kind of observe the incoming traffic and essentially predict the potential accident that can happen because of the way the traffic pattern looks like and alert the technician who is kind of working on the roadside, focusing on probably some kind of tire change or things like that. And that led this innovation lab to essentially work towards that concept. And instead of me describing what it is and how it works, how about we roll the tape and look at we call it I-Safety Patrol.
Absolutely.
Almost every other week, this industry loses a technician every other week.
Imagine, the stress of a vehicle passing by at rapid speeds, and you are inches from them. You can hear the sound of the vehicle approaching. You can feel the breeze of that vehicle moving past you at 80 miles an hour. This added level of stress that's placed on them each and every day is something we're trying to figure out. How can we help? How can we prevent a potential fatality happening at the side of the road?
We've got to do something. There is something we have to be able to do to save the lives of the people that save the lives of our members.
Can we come up with something which is really simple, easy to use for a technician, and something that they don't have to put a lot of effort, but it really kind of watches over their back, look over the incoming traffic, and then when it predicts something, sense something, and it kind of alerts them. Just a few seconds of early warning would have been good enough.
And that's when the whole idea came about. When you think about it, I was thinking, okay, you've got ambulances, you've got fire trucks, you've got police that have sirens, that have lights, right? And people pull aside and people hear it. You can have your radio blasting, but you hear there's an alert, there's something. That alert, that 3-second alert could save the life of that technician to step out of the way.
We had I would say more than 5 or 6 different ideas of how we're going to tackle the situation.
So we come to our final design that we have here.
The idea was, can we do this and have each technician be able to get that kind of alert, right? And get that annoying sound, which I'm not going to put on right now because it will blow the eardrums. But you've got the lights, you've got the radar in here that can tell the speed so that we can give that 3-second room for the technician to be able to react and allow them to come back home.
So this is a I-Safety Patrol device. We are launching this part of Auto Club Group fleet, I think early this summer, maybe mid-summer. I think we are really kind of looking forward to essentially helping our technicians. One of the things what we also feel that with the partnership with Google, we wanted to kind of extend this technology to not only help just within Auto Club Group or within a AAA federation, but beyond that. Anytime you have this emergency roadside workers in any industries, our plan and hope is to essentially kind of help each and every one of them, not just within the United States, but across the globe. So we are absolutely looking forward to extending this, taking it to the next level.
Thank you, and thanks for that, because I like the last part where the kid runs into the dad's or the parents' hands, and it's not just the roadside services people. Anybody who is, an AT&T person coming and putting a cable up somewhere. Anybody who's on a road where there's live traffic has potentially danger around them. So thank you for doing that. And I know we've been talking about this for a long time. I know you couldn't bring it out, but we're so excited that you can actually talk about it now, because it needs to be in companies, in organizations' hands. It looks like we're getting close to the end of our conversation. So again, thank you for that. What would you leave this group with? There's so much you all have talked about. There's so many things that we can do. So what are the top 2 or 3 things that you would leave this group with?
I mean, one of the things that what I would leave that, always keep your members or your customers, your users, in the center of everything what you do. That essentially grounds all of your efforts, all of your initiatives, to the one track, and that is very critical. And the second thing what I would ask everyone, that always expect something unexpected and be prepared for it. There's always going to be surprises. We just spoke about one of them during our journey, but we have our fair share of multiple surprises. This is where it's important to be prepared. It's important to invest into your own employees. It's equally also important to also have a partner ecosystems with you, so that when these surprises come at you, you can adjust, you can react, and you can overcome.
Thanks, Viral. Madhu, what about you?
So slightly different tack, right? So if I look at everything that we're doing, and I mean, to be honest, right, I know it's the 2 of us on stage here talking about this today, but we actually represent our entire leadership team, right? Both across IT and our business leaders that have supported us. And a lot of this work is a combined effort where everybody has, really large roles to play as we move this forward. So alignment, I think, has been key. And the clarity and support of leadership, because none of what we talked about would have been even remotely possible without the vision and the guidance of our leaders.
Yes.
And the partnership and alignment that we had, really tight alignment with our peers, right, within IT and in business. And I think those are the 2 key things that have really helped us move this journey forward, and I think is critical in any endeavor of this kind.
Viral, Madhu, thank you so much. Thanks for all the help, and thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.